Mrs. Haywood. So today we are going to work on the plot of our text and see how that plot relates to character actions. So our learning goal today is I can explain the connection between character action and plot development. So the text that I'm working through today is Ghost by Jason Reynolds. So with my reading today, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. I started working on my plot mountain. So remember the plot mountain, we have exposition, so that's where we introduce our characters and our setting. Then we have rising action. That's when a problem usually occurs in your text and things kind of start to get a little more action-packed in your story. Usually the problem starts taking place. Climax, that is the most amount of action that we are going to see. The most amount of action is happening in the climax, and our problem is the biggest problem that we have in our story. Falling action, some of those problems start to get resolved. We see some light at the end of the tunnel. And then resolution, at that point, that's usually towards the end of our story. Most of our problems, if not all of our problems in our story, have been resolved in some way. And we know that the end of our story can now take place. Sometimes we get a cliffhanger when we have a series. Okay, so for my exposition, this book starts out with Mr. Charles, the country store worker. We have Lou, Patina, and Sunny. Those are our track newbies. Okay, so they are new to the track team. We have Coach. He is our track coach. And then we have Castle Crenshaw, the main character. So I went ahead and thought about the actions that happened during this exposition point in the story where we're getting the introduction of our characters and we're kind of getting that setting being set up for us. And I noticed that at this point, Castle, we've learned, is a really good runner. He's great at running, and he knows how to run because he knew that he had to be quick in order to get away from his dad growing up. So that's how we come to find out that Castle is a really good runner. Our rising action, Castle's dad is in jail, we find out. And so then at this point, Castle tries out for the track team. His actions during that rising action portion is that Castle races with Lou and they tie. So Coach and everyone else now knows that Castle can run fast and they've got some competition. So they're all starting to think, this might be someone we want on the track team. Whereas Castle was initially just kind of trying to, show off a little bit and show him what he's got. So that's kind of our exposition and our rising action and how they relate to those character actions. So his actions are being set up at those 2 points in the story. So this is just kind of a starting point today. I want to see today if you guys can try this out with your own text. Okay, so see if you can get some exposition and some rising action started today, and then you can do the same thing that I did and write the character actions on a sticky note on top, or you can even just take notebook paper and just kind of dot them, or you can flip them around to where you have exposition up here and who those characters are in the setting, and then dot your character actions. However you want to set it up is totally fine. Okay, so see if you can try this out today in your own text. Don't forget the parts of the plot mountain. Maybe you might get a little bit further than I did today. Okay, so that would be fine too. So exposition, that's where we get the introduction of our characters and the setting of our story. Rising action, that's when kind of we start to come across some problems, or we kind of get set up for problems that we think might happen, get some of that foreshadowing that there's going to be problems in our story. climax, that's going to be the most amount of action that takes place in your story. You'll know you've come to the climax by reading on a little bit more, and when things start to kind of fall off and you start to see some things fall in place and resolve, we know that we're in the falling action. And then once everything has been resolved in some way, that's when we are at the resolution. So see today if you can identify those parts of plot, what they are, who your characters are, what your setting is, maybe some problems that your characters are coming across, and then for each of those parts, give us the actions of your characters for those parts of your plot. All right, so go ahead and see if you guys can try that out in your reading and in your reader's notebooks today. We'll check back in with you in a little bit.